Alrighty, howdy ho folks. Multiversal Medium here for another episode of Harvestella. Last episode, I got upset at the game because it's so unpassionate in every regard and not handled well in any regard. This episode, I hope we finish this dungeon. I really do. I really effing do. Anyways, I left off on a cutscene as soon as it started. Anyways, what on? It's like some giant puppet. Sure, I guess we could agree with you, Bo, if we could actually see it, but the cutscene's not letting us. Is this what His Eminence was hiding? Could we look at it, please? Okay, cool. It's all right. It's a mech. Did we get like transported to Xenoblade? Whatever. Arya, what's going on? Or I wouldn't get too close. I don't want her opinion. If any single option has the word Arya in it and it's not me making fun of her, I'm not gonna pick it. I wouldn't get too close. Don't worry, I'm pretty sure it won't do anything unless commanded to. You know what it is? I do. It's a machine that we use in the future. Shut up, Arya. You're not from the future. The future? Bo, don't believe her. Don't even use that word around her. She goes in a tizzy every time. I swear to Christ, if somehow this game does outright say she's from the future, I'm going to be pissed. I bet you anything that's how it's going to end, honestly. But as I've pointed out, every single time she's tried to prove she's from the future, that it does not hold water. Like, it's going to be so annoying. It's going to be... By the way, where's the OST? Where's the OST again? They just got rid of it. They had it at the start of this cutscene, just not anymore. Whatever. I'm certain it's going to be played off where she is actually from the future or something. Or maybe from the past. She did actually time travel. Who cares? I don't. But her whole story plot is obscenely similar to every other story plot where it doesn't make sense. It's just hand-waved. But the main issue between hers and every other story plot is hers is the meta plot that we are constantly forced to interact with. You know the whole thing with Meep Meep? Where it's like everything I was pointing out last dungeon, how stupid it was? At least now that we finished that dungeon, we don't have to worry about it. After we're done with the stupid church stuff, we don't have to worry about it. When we finally go to the first, like, what is it, like the Spring Seas Light or whatever? After we finish it, we don't have to worry about that stupid plot line anymore. We are constantly dealing with this stupid girl in her, like, plot line that has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. It is annoying. She's insufferable. Anyways, just continue the cutscene. But why is it here? And what does that make you? I like how Shrika just immediately hand-waved the fact, like, this girl's like, I'm from the future. It's like, well, what's this machine from the future doing here? And what are you? She immediately believes it. Why? Why? Shrika, is time travel not against your religion? Oh, right, you don't have a religion. They never world built that. Does the fact that people and machines from a distant technological future exist, like, not go against what your teachings and everything are? No? It doesn't go against the Holy Mother's teachings? Right, there aren't any Holy Mother's teachings. There isn't any world building. The only thing that this game could do well is if, as we start getting to like the end game, like the third act, if they start actually hinting at the meta plot being that this world doesn't exist it's all been nothing but puppets and strings trying to keep you within it. That is the only way they could do a decent plot line from what the heck they're doing. And they would constantly bring up various like plot holes. Like, didn't you think it was strange that this church that's been enacted for decades and decades and centuries even does not have a single doctrine? Don't you think it's strange that everyone relies on the monolites and the seas light for their infrastructure, yet don't know what they are? Just if they somehow did a twist like that, third act, I'd get hype. If it's handled well. I have zero hope. I have zero hope. But that would actually be how you turn this around. But the issue with doing that, because there are some things that have done that kind of thing well, the issue with that though, is the fact it would have to be done in the third act. And the first two acts so far effing suck. Oh my gosh, does this game suck? It just circles back to something I mentioned in like Dragon Quest Treasures and a few other series over times. People have recommended Tales of the Abyss to me. I can't play Tales of the Abyss because the first 10 hours, the protag is insufferable. And they all say he gets better after that point. I don't want to play the game up to that point. He's insufferable. Every character sucks. Why would I want to play a game where I hate everyone? Meanwhile, here I am playing a game where I hate everyone. Anyways, we'll have to talk about that later. We have no time. Don't you remember what Boat said last cutscene? If this is here, then that must mean the sea's light really is connected to me being pulled to this time. No, Arya. No, that is a leap in logic. You're supposed to be a researcher, which makes me assume you're a scientist of some sort. Why do you not follow the scientific method? Why aren't you questioning various things? Why do you immediately jump to leaps in logic and various things without following through and testing them? Why is the fact you're supposed to be a scientist not actually built up whatsoever? Let me put it this way, Arya. Maybe this thing crash landed around here and somebody moved it here. Did you think about that? Did you think that was a possibility? No? Well, of course you didn't. You're not a scientist. You're not a researcher. You're someone who's obsessed with being right because you're written that way. And God did whoever the writers were do every single character in this game dirty. Like, if these were all characters from a different IP before this game would be the most intense character assassination I have ever seen. It would be a character mass murder. Like a legit character genocide for all these characters if they were different characters in even slightly better written media ever. It is so absurd how badly written everyone is. How insufferable everyone is. What is it? Why would the patriarch hide it? I don't care about the patriarch. He's going to die soon. I don't care about his reasoning. What is it? I think the question you should be asking is why the patriarch hid it. Dude. How insulting. How insulting. I've pointed it out countless times, but it's always just a slap to the face. I ask a question. You shouldn't ask that. You should ask this. I'm going to talk about this. Hey, Arya. Quick question. If you're saying the patriarch hit it, what makes you think it was around the sea's light? You just said he must have hit it. Maybe it was in town. Why do you think it was around the sea's light and it was drawn to the sea's light? Hey, Arya, you just contradicted your effing self 2 sentences later. I hate this game. Okay, Automata. What is your model number? This is not the music you need for this. Whatever. Model number, whatever. EM 2072B. You know, in a better written game, that would actually mean something. It's kind of like in Nier Automata. You can, if you pay attention to stuff, you can pull it back to Drakengard 3. Because Drakengard 3 is actually a prequel to Drakengard 1. And Drakengard 1 has an ending that splits off into the Nier series. So legit, even though Drakengard is effing insane, masochistic hell. Oh my gosh, how dare they? And it's freaking batshit crazy. Weirdly enough, it has stupid world building bits that are properly connected, which is insane. Because once more, Drakengard is insane. And like, it's written fan fiction-y, but they did world building. It's horrifying. It is the most like conspiracy theorists strung together. What are you talking about, man? Like weeaboo, horrible everything. Near Drakengard, they're both horrible writing wise. But they did world building and connected it well. And that's the crazy bit. It's like seeing some homeless like vagabond that you know's bat crap, and he's like taking all these like sliced out, ripped out pictures, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna make like this one freaking portrait of Charles Martinet, and he's like rubbing like poop on one piece of the picture or whatever, and he's just like very incomprehensible and like just mumbling to himself. And then you come back later and you look and it's like it's a proper portrait of Charles Martinet made of all this scrap, and it's like, oh my gosh, is he a genius? Is he an insane genius? What the heck? That's what the Drakengard and Nier series is. But it's not genius. It's a poop-smeared portrait of Charles Martinet. Oh gosh. I need a minute. That entire analogy's just set me off. I need to play Drakengard on this channel sometime. Anyways, the reason I brought that up is in Drakengard 3, there are references to Nier. Which kind of makes sense because I think Drakengard 3 came out after the first Nier games. Because the Nier games came out kind of like Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Silver. There's two different variants. The 360 version and the PS3 version. And the US never got the PS3 version until they did a remake of it on PS4. So now, finally, people can get the full Nier experience by playing both versions, which are actually two sides of the same coin, and you need to play both versions to get the whole story. Which is funny because they're very long, very weird, esoteric, very odd gameplay-wise JRPGs. Action JRPGs with shoot 'em up mechanics and stuff, and it's just really, really out there. But you don't get the whole story unless you also get the DLC, which I don't know if you can get the Xbox 360 DLC anymore. I haven't hated that series. Just to kind of give you an idea of how bat crap insane the Nier and Drakengard like series are, because Nier is once more just a spin-off of the Drakengard series. The Drakengard series, like the final enemies you're like trying to stop are giant, and I mean gigantic, like 2-story, 3-story building sized babies that float through the air. And you see someone get eaten by them. The games are just bat crap, and you can't play through them without going a bit insane. Oh my gosh. Anyways, moving on with this cutscene. Cruel Automata FMS type alias Anemoy. Sure, why not? You know what's hilarious? Drakengard and Nier are also Square Enix. And I don't know why they let the director do anything, because he is a sadist. He has made some of the most effed up decisions when it comes to game design, even more so than frickin' Dark Souls. He's a sadist. The dude who makes Dark Souls and his effing obsession with poison swamps is nothing compared to Black Song White Scales. Like seriously, nothing. Nothing compared to the pure sadism of that one boss fight, of one of the endings for Drakengard 3. So it's the same company. But weirdly enough, Square Enix, I think, is fully burying Drakengard, and they don't want to admit it ever existed, even though Nier is doing well. because they will constantly bring up Nier and like other things in their newsletters. And they're like, hey, it's the anniversary of Nier Automata. Let's do this one event thing. And it's like the Nier series has existed since so-and-so and stuff. And I read through this whole email I got from them that was basically along those lines. And they never once mentioned Drakengard. And it's hilarious. Or at least it would be if it wasn't so sad. It would be like Atlas completely burying Shin Megami Tensei because Persona 5 did well. Like, yeah, the Persona series is the most so-and-so, and it's like never mentioning Shin Megami Tensei whatsoever, ever again, because Persona 5 did well. That would be the equivalent of what the heck Square Enix is doing with Drakengard and Nier. It's really actually effed up. Anyways, did the puppet just talk? Yeah, it did. Okay, Anemone. I'm just gonna call it Anemone. I know that's not what it is, but every time I see that, it rolls off the tongue. What is your prime directive? Kill all humans. Prime directive is to observe future events and present findings to the operator. Okay, so, like, Arya, are you actually from the past? Because its prime directive is to observe future events. So it's an event observation system. Arya, are you not going to talk about how the fact it's supposed to observe future events? This was the Patriarch's precious oracle. Oh, okay. You know, actually fine. You know what? I'm fine with the fact that he used a different device to get his oracle thing going, and he wasn't actually causing the things. I'm kind of annoyed because we've had no build-up to it possibly being this. This is actually legit a Deus Ex Machina to describe it, and I think it would have been a lot more interesting if he was causing the events, because it would ramp up his villainy to get across whatever the heck he wanted to get across. Like a completely insane religious individual who's going down a route the religious order is not okay with, to the point of human sacrifice and stuff. Him going so bad crap that he is causing events that he's quote unquote predicting is actually a proper villain arc and storyline thing. It makes sense, and it makes you actually dislike the character. This is a Deus Ex Machina. This is the first time Arya and I have ever encountered a piece of tech that she's used to. If we were constantly coming across in every Seas Light a piece of tech related to, I don't know, her quote-unquote future, I'd be fine with it. I really would. I wouldn't be super upset about it because it's like, oh yeah, we've done the spring Seas Light, we've done the summer Seas Light. We know everything that's technically going wrong with the Seas Light is based on the tech that got pulled from the future. This is the only one. And she even said, this proves my theory about the Seas Light being related to the fact that I was pulled from the future or whatever. Which makes me believe this is going to be the only one. I doubt we're going to find a robot thing in the spring Seas Light. So yeah, this is actually kind of stupid writing. I'm fine with it being there. It's not implemented well. It's thrown there out of nowhere. It doesn't need to be this way or here whatsoever. I'm sorry, I have no idea what's going on. Fair, Shrika, you're finally paying attention. Would you mind explaining in a way us normal people can understand? Shrika, do not demean yourself in front of her. She's a horrible narcissistic individual who will constantly try to rise above you. Do not demean yourself in front of her. It's like a certain type of bear. You need to be bigger than her, and she will shrink down. Shrika, do you have money? Shake your gold pouch. If you have money, you're better than her. She doesn't have any money. Ah, my bad. Your Patriarch's Oracle was a sham. He used this machine to predict the future. No, that is not a sham. Arya, the Patriarch was using something that could predict the future to predict the future. That's not an Oracle sham. It was doing what he was saying, and he was using it to get people invested in the religious order. So far, technically, he's not in the wrong. Arguably, it is his own prerogative to get people to join the religious order, but I don't think people would believe a prediction of the future unless it was tied to a religious order. And when you add the fact he's saving lives, it's viable. So far, this isn't evil. He just called it an oracle to explain why he was able to do what he was doing. Yes, and he was using it to save lives. We went from a villain arc to arguably he's a decent individual. Like I said, this is not implemented well. So this thing could see into the future? Basically, yeah. This is an event observation system created in the future during my time. If it could perceive the future, why did you guys have the Great Calamity thing? Although it doesn't actually see the future, instead it predicts events by studying changes in the environment. So it's a weather forecast. It's a weather forecast device. Got it. Wow, in the future you could actually predict the weather? You mean like a weather forecast? Finally, some good writing. Yes, like a weather forecast? Yeah, pretty much the same way you were able to tell how the weather will be tomorrow. They even admit it's just a weather forecast machine. In the future, we got rid of weathermen and replaced them with robots. Oh, does it predict the weather better? About 50% of the time, it's correct. Oh, wow. I think that's slightly better than usual weathermen. It is. We also gave them weird doll-like human faces and giant, like claw-like hands. Why would you do that? Well, I don't know. Just a weather device. So stupid. So not just similar to predicting snowfall when aphids appear in the air. Yes, that's right. You've learned this pattern based on numerous environmental changes. It's just a weather device. Finally, good writing. It took the 3rd dungeon, or supposedly the 4th dungeon, but we got some good writing. We're in there. This machine does the same thing, but on a grander scale, and with great precision. I don't believe any weatherman. They are always wrong about 50% of the time, so 100% of the time, they're wrong 50% of the time. I'm finding all of this pretty hard to believe. You should, Boat. You know the weather and where you live better than it does. And you know dang well when it says it's going to be sunny, it's actually going to snow. Why? Because you looked out the window. But if you know how to use this thing, then I don't have much of a choice. Oh, don't believe the weatherman nonsense. Future civilizations? What the heck is going on? Is this another of their tricks? Bo, are you having like delayed like questioning of what the heck was introduced at the start of this cutscene? You're just now questioning that? Like, Bo, it's been like several discussions after that. I know everyone in this game's slow, but come on. The event observation system was eventually suspended for being too expensive to run. Wait, so you're telling me your weathermen aren't funded by the government in the future? Yes, like we wanted them on public broadcasting networks, but we weren't able to afford it. So only the rich can know the weather of tomorrow. Okay, so like if it's so expensive to run, why is it just running? Its primary purpose was to act as a compass, using event tree analysis if there was a disaster. Arya, wait, hold up. We're from the past. We don't have compasses, remember? Do you guys remember? She said, do you even have compasses in your time? So Arya, do we have compasses or not? You've lived amongst us for a month. You've looked around. Does everyone have a compass or does no one have a compass? Tell me, Arya. When we're in a dungeon, what's in the top right? Arya, do we have a compass? Can you use that word? Just asking if you've been paying attention. But there were issues, since it could only predict disasters after all, not guide us in overcoming them. Knowing something's coming is part of being able to prepare for it. If you know a hurricane's about to hit, you can prepare for the hurricane. That's not an issue. It's like quite literally, you said it's a weather forecast thing. You know if an event's gonna happen there. Oh, well, we're gonna have a giant EMP thing go off. Well, then frickin' prepare for a giant EMP thing. Like, whatever, it's stupid world building again. We're going back from good writing down to bad writing. Also, I like how she said it's too expensive to run. Meanwhile, she's left it idling behind her during this entire cutscene. It's just idling. But being able to predict disasters suits the Patriarch's needs perfectly. I don't care. Who wouldn't believe an oracle that predicts calamities after that event with the Sea's Light? Okay, can we actually, like, have a moment? Can we just stop? What event with the Sea's Light? Can we have a moment? What event with the Sea's Light? I want to go into detail. I want world building. I want you guys to have a decent game in a decent setting. The events with the Sea's Light, they keep using that. It's a buzzword. As far as we're aware, what happened with the Sea's Light? Nothing happened until, gosh, ever. We keep getting told stuff happened with them. There are these big events, so on and so forth. The church is investigating. But what happened? What event? We were told Dianthus, our first party member, went into the Autumn Sea's Light to stop something. But what was that? Was that affecting the others? Why was Dianthus able to stop all of them from doing something via the Autumn one? So on, so forth. Like, and all these people are talking about this event as if it's common knowledge. Our character is not getting fed any knowledge about anything. We're getting very basic, surface level, something happened. It was this big thing. Monsters were going wild, so on, so forth. Not seeing the ramifications, not seeing how it world built, not seeing how it affected anyone, not seeing what it was. That's what I'm talking about. Talk about the event of the Sea's Light. We were told in a few other cutscenes that even the church order had people dying during this event. What was the event that was happening at the Winter Sea's Light? We've been in this dungeon and we're near the end of it, I'm assuming, and we've still not been told what this huge, like, event that happened at the start of the game was. Specifically around the Winter Sea's Light. Technically, we weren't told what it was when it came to the Summer Sea's Light. We just had to bridge the gap in our mind that it was based around the whatever flame thing that was underwater that the sirens fused into. We had to bridge that gap in our mind to assume that's what it was. We're not getting the info. It's telling us various things in the opposite direction, so we don't look deeply into the world building and the reasoning we're doing anything. So we can hand wave that bit. We don't have a quest or any reason to do anything. We could just sit around on our farm all day because we don't have a drive to leave, technically. But it's hand waving it and saying, like, all these buzzwords to make you think we do. Anyways, or at least that's my hypothesis. It's all rather trivial when you break it down like that. I don't care, Arya. Don't act like you're smart. You're stupid. But why would His Eminence... I don't... Dude, I just mentioned, like... It's probably, like, wanting to grow his religious order. Technically, everything he's done via this so far isn't evil. I'm certain when we go up ahead, we're going to find out it's human sacrifice, but why would that matter? Like, why would he immediately go into human sacrifice? It's weird. We don't have an actual cause for him being batshit. So we'll see if they actually write that well. Good guess. No, I can sense him up ahead. Cool. You got your edgelord senses going? Can you smell him? Why don't we go and ask him ourselves? Are you like Wolverine? Are you like a 5'2" dude that's just constantly angry and you could smell people? Is that it? Oh my gosh. Arya, did you seriously leave it idling? She just said the energy costs of it are way too high. That thing's gonna run out of battery in like 30 minutes. Like, it probably has worse like battery consumption than anything in your real life right now. And she just left it idling. Like, it's like leaving your car's like headlights on. Just like 100% just leaving the headlights on, but like the engine off. Just like, why? Why would you do that? I feel something unusual up ahead. Do you still want to continue? Yeah, I guess we got a boss fight. Why not? Maybe go a bit over this episode because I went on a tangent about Dragon Gardener. Your Eminence! Oh, Shrika. What are you doing, Patriarch? Please explain this. Take a look around. What boat? It's an ice cave. Oh, right, the human sacrifice. Well, that happens a lot with religious orders. No! Arya, don't pretend you're invested. You're not invested. Don't care. What have you done to them, or are they dead? I don't care about either of these. What have you done? I like how there's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 priests. How is this a proper religious order and this is the headquarters? There are no priests here. They are not dead. Yet. You're here earlier than I expected. Yeah, I like always to show up a bit early, man. I'm the Irish goodbye kind of individual when I leave. No offense. That's why I left the, you know, prison and all that. But I try to get places early so I don't miss out on appointments or the start of the party. What is the meaning of this? What happened to the followers? Anyone wearing a stupid hoobly gobbly goobly wobbit is a target. He hunts them down, takes over their minds, and makes them his dummies. You're the dummy. For long, they lose consciousness, and he absorbs them into his body. Oh, he's a flesh amalgamation. Cool. And then off he goes to the next town, leaving a trail of death in his wake. Okay. So he's been doing this for how long, Bo? Because what you're talking about is like an eldritch monstrosity that's probably been around for a few centuries, right? That what we're talking about? Isn't that right? Kierkegaard. That's a name of... You can't use that name in this concept. Kierkegaard is a philosopher, dude, as far as I'm aware, and I don't think he was a bad philosopher. Nihilistic, but not a bad one. Kierkegaard? Oh, so you know my real name, do you? What do you mean by real name? My name is indeed Kierkegaard. I am a hallowed, born of the sea's light. Okay. This plot bit is stupid, and unless they change it up and actually, like, do a hard right in the next few dialogue boxes or 2 cutscenes or so, this is completely contradicting everything else we've already learned. This dude's been the patriarch for like all of Shrika and like their site's life, and they were raised with him being the patriarch in the church, which means he's been there for what? I'm gonna say like 20 or so years. Let's say Shrika and their sites are like 20. Who cares? 20 years. He's been the patriarch. Mr. Mercenary says he's been doing this specifically with the flower thing and going from town to town to town to town doing this thing. The flowers only grow in this cave. The flower thing only started the past month. Yet apparently he's been doing this for like decades, let's say. Yet nobody's ever seen another instance of this flower thing. There's been no other towns that have been wiped out because this dude's been doing this flower thing. You see what I'm getting at? They basically just made a different villain all of a sudden. This is not the patriarch dude we were intending to fight. And they just kind of like got all the other plot bits that were already kind of there and just kind of tried to attach them. This makes zero sense. Your Eminence, I'm not sure I follow. This monstrosity is no patriarch. He's a hollowed, a kind of man-eating monster. Okay. But that's impossible. The patriarch isn't a monster. I've been a mercenary long enough to know a thing or two. I know about that village, Kierkegaard. The one you obliterated 20 years ago. Okay, so maybe he killed Shrika's and their site's parents? Cool. That's a good enough reason for them to dislike him, sure. But once more, there'd be more of a trail. Specifically with these flower things. Like, and we look at Bo, and he's not an old dude. If he was an older, weathered mercenary, it had gone, like, against this monster 20 years ago, I'd be more likely to believe it. Bo looks like he's the same age as everyone else in our party. And I'm saying 20 to make me feel less like a creep. You do you? It was terrible what happened there. I came so close to death. Took quite some time to recover. But thankfully, that is how my path crossed with the Order. They saw me on the brink of death and took me in. They're a good-natured bunch. They already had blind faith in their teachings. What teachings? There are no teachings. There's nothing with this church. They don't have anything. It's not a church. So manipulating them couldn't have been easier. Cool. Awesome. Whatever. Do you want to do your freaking Nilarthotep cosplay somewhere else, man? In a better game, maybe? I don't understand the whole situation, but this guy sounds like a piece of work. How could you betray them? Or how could you betray Shriek? I don't care. Like, the dude's a manipulative monster that goes for positions of power to eat people. Fine, that's fine as a villain. I don't care. It's not built up well. This dude legit being a flesh-eating monster that absorbs people and controls them like puppets has not been built up. The only thing that's been built up wise was Shrika and their side saying we couldn't get in, and even the priest there was acting weird, just kind of repeating the same thing over and over. That is the closest we've gotten to foreshadowing that this dude's not human. It's not implemented well. I wouldn't call it a betrayal. It was always my plan to use them. Although I did almost pity them at first, it was laughable to me that they worshipped this stone the way they did. It is simply nonsensical to worship this stone while hating omens at the same time. Cool, we actually getting some world building, or are you not going to actually talk about that? You humans are utter fools, controlled by your hearts. All you do is shorten the planet's lifespan. Yeah, that's humans for you. Whatever, like, I guess you're not going to go off about how the omens and the stones are connected. Nope, whatever. Okay. Wouldn't you be better off living under our rule and becoming puppets of the Hallowed? Okay, can we talk about what the Hallowed are? Are you guys not going to world build on what they are? You're just going to say he's one of those. They eat people, they absorb them, they control them. You're not going to talk about what they are? But then, why did you take us in? Why did you bring me up as your own? This would be a lot more impactful if, like, their sites was also here. I knew that you held an immense latent power, Shrika. My plan was to use you as a figurehead who would win over the hearts of the people. Oh, okay. It's weird. But you're the figurehead. You're the figurehead, though. It all went according to plan. You became known as the Seraph Child, a symbol of hope within the Order. But you're the figurehead. Although that hasn't been necessary since Anemone appeared. Dude, but you're the figurehead. You're the leader of the church. I was gonna puppeteer you as a leader of the church and have you do everything I wanted while you led the church. But you lead the church. You were using me as a tool? That would be a lot more impactful if she had a reputation and everything up until this point. She hasn't. All we've ever seen with Shrika and the rest of the church was she's a bit higher up in the Order, so the lower echelons respect her and, like, kind of, you know, just go with what she says the majority of the time unless it conflicts with what he says. Beyond that, she is a nobody. Nobody cares about her. She is nothing. That doesn't work even as he explained it. I don't care. You'll pay for this, I guess. There'll be 5,000 Chuck E. Cheese tokens, and we'll allow you to go. I want to hit up the arcade. Huh, don't be absurd. Since when was food ever able to make its consumer pay? I don't know, maybe in some horror game? I don't care. Are you telling me the teachings mean nothing to you, Patriarch? That everything was leading to this? Like, it's so weirdly bouncing around, like... So we go in, he's told he eats people. We talk to him a bit, and he's like, it would be better if you joined us and became hollowed. So can people become the monster thing he is? And then we go back to, your food. It's the same cutscene. It doesn't know what it wants to do with this dude as a villain. But of course, I only feigned piety in order to gain control over the order. I could have cared less about the teachings. What teachings? No one has ever seen the Holy Mother with their own eyes. Only the third time we've ever heard the Holy Mother. How could you believe in such fantasy? If you were to lay your eyes upon the grace of the Holy Mother, it would surely drive you into despair. What? Is that one of the teachings? Is that one of their doctrines? Because it's the first time we're hearing any. I only used the teachings to my advantage when it suited me. They were just another tool, as all of you were. But you, Shrika, are an exceptional tool among humans. I like how he refers to, like, our party as tools. We've met him once. There is remarkable power concealed within you. So even if you wanted to become one of my thoughtless puppets, I wouldn't allow you. Why? Those two things don't connect. You'd think a puppeteer villain who controls people to do his bidding and wants to absorb them to, I don't know, he says, like, Boat said he eats them and absorbs them. And since he used, like, the term absorb them, you'd think he's getting some sort of power beyond just eating people. He's not just a man-eater. Why wouldn't he want to do that to Shrika? This cutscene has so many contradictions, it's appalling, even for this game. I'm grateful for everything you've taught me, Patriarch. You've taught me countless lessons. Important lessons. I saw the world as a bleak place when I was a young orphan. But I've made it this far thanks to you. You took me in and gave me something to believe in. I can only imagine that the people of the past made the teachings because they believed in the power of the human heart. What teachings? And aren't the teachings supposed to be about your religion and how that elevates humans, not about the human heart? This is not Kingdom Hearts. Shut up. Because although we may make many mistakes and we can be foolish at times, Shrika, I don't care. Don't do your soliloquy. We don't care. It is our hearts that drive us to improve ourselves and build a better future. I hate this so much. And I'm fine with Saturday morning cartoon plotline nonsense of like, and the power of friendship won the day. Watch Dragon Quest Treasures. I was dying laughing at the various plot bits. I loved it so much. Like, this kind of nonsense as a plot bit is fine. This isn't implemented. This isn't handled well. There's nothing here. Like, the idea of a Saturday morning cartoon farted in the same building as this plotline. This effing sucks. You can take steps to make each day that bit better than the last. Shut up, Shrika. You know what? Patriarch, eat me. I don't want to listen to her anymore. I don't want to listen to any of them anymore. Eat me. And without you, I never would have come to believe in that. For that, I am grateful to you. But he was only using you. Arya, shut up. It's her moment. I don't need both of you talking. Like, seriously, Patriarch, dude, can you eat me? I know his intentions may have been warped. Like, seriously, can I just walk off the edge and just die? Oh my gosh. But that doesn't change the fact that I gained something valuable from him. I feel like the other passengers in Airplane, when the freaking one dude is talking about his life story and his issues when trying to date the stewardess girl. I feel like every single one of the passengers in that airplane movie. Oh my gosh, shut up. And so, is there any gasoline in a match I can light? Oh my gosh. This heart of mine that you nurtured and raised is only telling me one thing, that I must stop you. Can you stop talking first? Oh, she even had this stupid like arm thing. Stupid. Even if you try to downplay the importance of my existence, I will always stay true to my heart, which is patricide. My heart says patricide. Fool, what use is the heart of yours? That fragile organ is why you humans had to be fed faiths and religions for sustenance. It's like, I feel like I'm watching some play a bunch of 13 and 14-year-olds set up. This sucks. So bad. So bad. Why suffer and live subjected to the pain that your heart brings when you could be a cold-hearted puppet? Oh my gosh. Is this a cutscene from Kingdom Hearts? Seriously, did the stupid director dude from Kingdom Hearts that does all the horrible like character designs just walk into their office and they were like, oh, you're well known in the company, do you mind writing a scene for us? Oh yeah, I'll write a scene. And he took like 3 minutes to write a scene and they made this. What is this? This is dumb. So be it. If you choose to defy me, I shall just have to kill you. Dude, you're intending on killing her? What were you intending on doing with her? Okay, can we be honest? She said her power of the heart or whatever, she's going to like push through it and take him down because he goes against the teachings he taught her. And he's like, you'd be better as a cold-hearted puppet. Meanwhile, right before she went on that soliloquy, you can roll it back in this episode, he said he would never do that to her. She has all this power in her. He will never let her be a cold-hearted puppet. She has this weird power in her. And then after her soliloquy, why wouldn't you become a cold-hearted puppet? Dude. Dude. Holy crap. Holy crap. This cutscene is so bad, even by this game's standards. This is so absurd. And it's so effing bad. Because just so you know, all they needed to do for this dude to be a villain is quite literally have this monster thing be something that is affecting the sea slate. And when he came to check on it during the quote unquote events, the monster thing corrupted him. And now he's a villain that was doing all this against his like will. It actually wanted to be a good father. And then you have the villain still. And you have a bit of a heart-wrenching moment. And you could have a moment where, like, yeah, he had to be killed or had a sacrifice moment. And Shrika uses that to drive her forward. That's all they need to do. And that's all they built up for. And they just tossed it out the window last second for this horrible cutscene that makes no fucking sense. Holy crap, am I pissed. Oh my gosh, this was horrible. How dare they? Like, it's not just insulting to you and me as the players and like the people partaking in this media. I bet you this was like a hard right even for the writers. This is insulting to the writers themselves. Somebody else just put a different cutscene in and tried to attach it. This is not attached to anything else we've been dealing with. This effing sucks. How dare they? I'm curious if like the stupid robot was supposed to be there when they were starting to write this plotline. I swear to Christ, this is so stupid. It's been an episode, guys. Next episode, we'll fight this boss, I guess, and see if it's anywhere near as good as the Silent Hope ice boss, because I bet anything it's not. The ice boss for Silent Hope was a properly fleshed out boss fight and in an arena that perfectly worked with their mechanics and looked correct for their boss fight and everything. Not this dude. Bet you not. Because I know, even though you could argue, well, like his wing things and stuff look kind of like a snowflake. No. We were just told this dude's a flesh eater that absorbs other people. And he probably isn't even technically related to this monolite, even though it said like, yeah, and the Seas Light made the hollow things. But as far as we're aware, he could go to any Seas Light. He doesn't need to be here. Maybe he never was here to begin with. And he just set up shop here. This is stupid. There's so many things wrong with this already. I'll talk to you all in another episode of Harvestella where we fight a boss fight against a boss that shouldn't be here. Oh, right. This is the Square Enix team, and this is probably the Final Fantasy side of it. Every boss fight and every like big final boss is something that is not related to the game because that's the Final Fantasy MO. Oh my effing gosh. I hate this so much. Ciao.